Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here. Welcome to Adronis Open Forum. So I'm looking forward to today where this event is all about being able to take live Q&A from our audience. So for those of you that are tuning in now, just go to the live YouTube Q&A chat and you can put your questions in there. Let me just get everything all set up here. So again, all of the questions will be in live Q&A chat. I will be taking some questions that, again, I feel are kind of more semi-personal and general in that way. Not so much deep personal questions. I would just suggest everybody just to save those for private sessions. That's usually where they belong, right? So if you do have a question that's kind of semi-personal and general as well too, that would be great. And that'll be the best kind of questions that I'm going to be looking for today. So it looks like everybody's already starting to get the questions going into the Q&A chat, so that's great. I'm happy to see all that activity. But before we get started, guys, I just got a couple of exciting announcements that I'm going to share with you firstly. The first one is, of course, our monthly offer that I offer through New Earth Teachings. So again, if you go to newearthteachings.com and you choose a session, there's sessions of private sessions, there's group sessions, there's email question sessions, there's Spyro Akashic viewings, there's Akashic Record sessions, and of course the Spyro Akashic and the Akashic Record sessions also work with your Sorry, let me go back a bit. Your Spyro Akashic viewing sessions and Akashic Record sessions work with your Book of Life as well too. So those are still available, but there's been a lot of bookings for that. And of course, there is the EQ method as well too, and Asui Reiki attunements. So again, any of those sessions that I mentioned are available for a 20% discount. So you just go to your shopping cart page once you choose your preferred session, and just enter the promo code, all in capital letters, OpenForum20, to receive 20% off any session on newearthteachings.com. And again, the offer is available until Monday, October 15th. So again, when you're on the shopping cart page, click on the enter a promo code button here, and then type in all capital letters, OpenForum20, and you'll get 20% off the session of your choosing. And again, that is good until Monday. So we have another exciting announcement as well. A new series is going to be coming on to my YouTube live stream, or to my YouTube channel. It is going to be a YouTube live stream, weekly presentation. It is going to be called Empathic Interfacing Live. So I have done these in the past with Nefertitis. I've also done it with the Blue Avians as well too in the past as well, and I really, really enjoyed it. And so I said, you know what, maybe it's time to bring the empathic interfacing back and do it again in a live format so that everybody can interact with the beings that I'm going to be connecting with. Now, empathic interfacing is not channeling in that way. You could say it's a type of channeling, but it's not channeling like I do with Adronis in that way. It would be more so closer to mediumship in that way. Basically, I'm connecting through heart-to-heart connection with the particular energy that I'll be working with, and communicating with them, interpreting their information, as they also take your questions as well too. So the very first episode is going to be starting on Monday, October 22nd at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and it is going to be happening every Monday after that. Okay, so every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, starting October 22nd, we're going to have Empathic Interfacing Live with interactive transmissions. It's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, there is a second series that is going to be coming to YouTube, to the YouTube channel. It's called Light Circuitry Weekly. So, sorry, getting a bit of dyslexia this morning. Light Circuitry Weekly. And that is going to be debuting in November. I don't have an exact date right now. I'm going to be working on a few light circuits for the upcoming episodes as well too. So these will just be, these will not be live. These will just be pre-recorded transmissions, you could say. And they will be uploaded onto YouTube. And you'll also have downloads of the light circuit, plus you'll have a specific guided meditation that you can download for free. So everything within the Light Circuitry Weekly are free downloads, so the light circuit is free. And of course, the meditation that comes with it as well too will also be free, and that'll be available for everybody to access. This is gearing up for another session that I'm going to be creating here in the next few weeks. That will be Light Circuitry Seals, and those will be available as sessions as well too. but I am going to be giving out these free samples on a weekly basis for Light Circuitry Weekly. So again, debuting in November. Just stay tuned. You can follow me on Facebook, or again, I'll also have some updated posts here on YouTube as well when Light Circuitry Weekly will be coming out altogether. Okay. So those are my announcements that I wanted to share with you. Some really exciting shows to come here on the New Earth Teachings YouTube channel. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to kind of scroll up to the very top of the chat because, again, there are some questions that were starting up from there. And I'm going to kind of work my way down. Again, I will be looking to make sure that the questions are, again, appropriate through the semi-personal and general nature as well, too. So what I'll be doing is I'll just be reading out the first question out loud, and then I'll bring Adronis in, and Adronis can share some insight as it relates to that particular question, and we're just going to do it in that format where I'll come back in, ask a question, bring Adronis back in as well too. Okay, so let me go ahead and take a look at the live chat here. Okay, so the very first question here we have is from MJ. MJ is saying, what is going on with the sun? Why is it white hot these days compared to years of past when it was more visually yellow and not as strong on your skin? Okay, great question, MJ. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Adronis in. It'll just take me a moment to connect with his energy. I'll be doing a little bit of chanting as well, too. And then he'll come through and he'll share some insight on this sun question. So very, very good. Okay, here we go. Terra Soul Star Sirius Adronis We are here at this time. We bid you greetings and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius. We say hello to all who are tuning into this broadcast through your internet collective consciousness. Of course, we like to remind all of you right now is simply to let yourselves get relaxed, get comfortable, and tune in to the vibrations of Sirius, so that you may synchronize, harmonize, and align to all of the information that we have to share. Please understand that, once again, all the information that we will provide this moment within your time is simply that of our perspective, our point of view. For all knowledge, all information, all creation itself resides within your very hearts, beings, and souls. We will elaborate on the question as it relates to the sun, of how it was once, as you would say, a yellow star and is now functioning as a white star. Now understand that your own sun is already existing within the fourth density. And basically what's happening right now is what you would consider to be a bleed through. And so your sun has transformed itself from a yellow star into a white star. So because it has moved itself into already that of a fourth density coherency. So your sun is not a third density star by any means. It has graduated already into the fourth density. And what you are witnessing is the effect of the white light of that star. And so again, everything that's happening right now as it relates to the sun and its rays coming upon your planet is that this is representing a transmutation process, which means that all of the planets within your star system are going through a transmutation effect. This is why you are experiencing, shall we say, the heating up upon your world. This is not the idea of greenhouse gases. This is not the idea of human, man-made situations that are causing your Earth to change. No. Your pollutants really can't even do that. It's more so on the idea that, yes, it's good that you are cleaning up your oceans, that you're looking to cleaning up your air, that you're looking to reduce pollutions. Of course, that is very important. But everything that's taking place in regards to these changes taking place upon your planet is the effect of your own Earth being transmuted. So, not just Earth, through Mercury, through Venus, through Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, all of your planets within this star system are going through elevated changes in consciousness. And that is, again, what you're all going through as well, too. So you will notice that your sun, yes, feels like it's becoming quite a bit hotter. But again, that is all part of its matrix now, existing as a fourth density sun. And that you are going through a transmutation process now. You are noticing your sun is becoming a lot more brighter. You are noticing that your planet is changing. You are noticing that all of the planets are changing accordingly. And so through this transmutation process, the Earth will eventually graduate herself from one density to another, just as we have talked about before. As we have stated, it's a rainbow bridge that all of you are crossing. So some of you may still be at the tip of that bridge and saying, should I cross? Should I cross? Should I do this? Should I move into the next density? There are those in that sense that are walking across the bridge right now, just starting to. And then there are those that are further along in the bridge. Nonetheless, the rainbow bridge is there. Those that do not wish to move into the rainbow bridge are often caught together with third density tendencies. And again, existing too much in the idea of physical reality. Putting together certain aspects of greed, or again, money situations, materialism, and basically wanting to stay sunk in the third density. And those that are moving upon the rainbow bridge, crossing in that way, are working upon themselves. They're working with their emotions. They're working with their traumas. They're working with their challenges. They're working with their hardships. And they are crossing this rainbow bridge. So again, there will come a particular point of culmination, and many of you refer to this as the event, yes, and to which the sun right now, in its own magnetic fields, is inverting itself. What is eventually going to happen is that the sun will basically go through a state of inversion where its own corona will be exposed, and that will become the solar flash. Now again, as we have stated, there is no exact date for when this will occur. This can happen within a few years from now. It could happen within several decades from now. There is no exact date when this is happening, but we will say, for those that are truly in tune with their nature, in tune with their reality, they will know when it is approaching. And you will hear it, not just from us, but from them as well too. For those that are truly in tune, they'll let you know and saying we're getting a lot closer into this time of culmination. But again, it's nothing to fear. It's not going to destroy your world in any particular way. It is all part of what you would know as a Stargate effect. It's pushing your own planet from one dimensional fabric into another. It's engulfing it and placing it into that fourth density structure. Now again, that fourth density Earth already exists. So what you're basically doing is seeing an opening of the veil and feeling yourselves being pushed, aligned into that next dimension, into that next density, and aligning yourselves into fourth density bodies, because your fourth density selves already exist. So again, you're just moving into an alignment. You are becoming coherently in alignment with your fourth density bodies once that culmination effect of the solar flash of the event happens. So that's a little bit of extra information as it pertains to your question, but this again is giving you the impression of why you have a white colored sun right now, is because it's already a fourth density star. It is not a third density star any longer. The third density star was your yellow star. We thank you very much. Okay, great. So thank you very much, MJ. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so we have one here from Polly. Let me just take a glass of water first. So I'm going to do my best to get around to everybody's questions. We got about a 90-minute broadcast today. So I'm going to try and go through these questions kind of quickly. Polly asks, can Adronis please touch on the topic of teaching ourselves self-discipline, where our daily spiritual routine is concerned. Tips for the undisciplined ones of us out here, if nothing else. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, Polly, for your question. So I'll bring Adronis in for that. We thank you very much, Polly, for your question. As it relates to the idea of self-disciplining yourselves on a daily basis. Well, this is all going into the idea of monitoring your feelings. What are your feelings telling you on a daily basis? So when you wake up in the morning, what's the very first feeling that you're experiencing? Is it saying, oh, I just need to go run to the computer? I need to go and take care of a bunch of emails? I need to go and run off and do this and run off and do that? Or will you take a moment? Will you take a moment to feel appreciation? Will you take a moment to connect to your heart? To bless yourself for this day? To create a theme of your day that serves you? So creating a theme within your day would represent the idea of saying, may today be wonderfully abundant in service to myself and to others whom I love. There's one example. May today bring about great understandings of synchronicity to aid me in understanding more of myself. There's another example. May today bring about great radiant health to my being, and may I radiate that being to everything that exists around me. There's another example. So all you're doing on a daily basis is checking in with yourself. It's not to say that you must spend the entire day in complete and total meditation. You certainly can if you wish, but that's not necessary. It's the idea that all you're really doing on a daily level is working together with your inner understandings of your feelings, being honest with yourself. Be as honest with yourself as much as you can on a daily basis. So you're just working with these feelings, you're complimenting yourself. But what you're also doing is you're being aware of any intense emotions that may come up through a situation. So if a situation comes up where you see that you have a parking ticket on your car, and you grab that and you're saying, I can't believe I got this, and now you're feeling this rage, you want to look into that. Why are you enraged regarding this parking ticket? Why are you enraged if someone accidentally steps over your foot? Why are you feeling upset if something in that sense feels like a state of rejection? Maybe you didn't win the lottery. Maybe you didn't get even one number right. Maybe someone in that sense who may have had an opportunity for a career with you basically chose somebody else and you didn't get it. Look into your reaction. Look into your feeling. This is all you really have to do. It does not have to be such an advanced form of discipline to where you feel that you can't possibly have the time to do it. All you're really doing here is monitoring, is witnessing, is observing your own feelings. And just be aware about what comes up in that particular way. If I'm feeling upset about something, I'm going to take a moment, I'm going to breathe in and breathe out. I'm going to relax. And now I'm going to look at that feeling of that upsetness. It made me feel again a type of rejection. It made me feel in that sense that I wasn't important. It made me feel that I didn't have value. But do I feel value within myself? Well, I've done all of these things just recently, and I have a great deal of value for myself. So there you go. All I'm doing is self-correcting myself. This is all you're doing. This is the nature of the discipline. Self-correct. So take a moment, take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out, look within yourself, feel the feeling, checking in with yourself, looking into what that feeling is telling you about yourself, and self-correcting, self-aligning, and saying that, well, this is what I've gone through, this is what I'm experiencing right now, but I know that throughout my reality, I'm constantly valuing myself. I'm waking up this morning, I'm giving myself compliments, I'm making myself a nice breakfast, I'm going out, I'm enjoying a beautiful sunshiny day, I'm really loving who I am. So why should this bother me? That's the whole idea, is that when you maintain your own sense of understanding that you are accepted in all forms of yourself, your value becomes infinite. There is no question to the finite aspect of your own value. So again, this is just looking into the idea of what you can do, disciplining yourself on a daily basis, is just monitor your feelings. Certainly you can meditate, certainly you can go into prayer, certainly you can document, you can journal in any particular way. Those are all acceptable. But just taking some moments, at least, on a daily basis, and being able to look into yourself and understand, what is this feeling telling me about myself? When I'm feeling I'm getting into an argument with that person, what am I trying to prove, and what am I trying to defend by being in such an argument? What am I fighting against? I'm fighting against myself. There's nobody else here. That person that's in an uproar with me, I don't like our president, I don't like that our money situation is like this, I don't like this, I don't like that. All of that is melodrama. You need to move past that idea and come into the degree about what is the underlying issue here as it relates to your own sense of self, rather than getting all worked up about your politics, about your government, and about excuses, about why you feel you need to get attached to melodrama. It's moving past that and looking into the essence of yourself and saying, I feel I'm getting worked up here because, again, I don't feel like I'm being valued. I don't feel like I'm being appreciated. I feel rejected. That's a very common one. That's one of the 3 traumas of man. Rejection, abandonment, abuse. All stemming from the one, lack. So, when you're looking into these situations, it's all just a reminder. Take a moment, take a deep breath in, check in with yourself, look into what this feeling is telling you, and self-correct. The more that you do this on a daily basis, the more you are incredibly disciplining yourself. Because all a discipline is a refinement. That's all it is. It's refining yourself to become this human crystal. And as you become this human crystal, you're no longer concerned about the idea of small affairs relating to melodrama. We will basically state that anything upon your planet that is melodramatic is a petty aspect of attempting to get attached to. Because you're not actually getting upset about the drama. You're actually getting upset because of how this makes you feel. That's the idea. So the aspect in that sense of getting so hooked up into the melodramatic affairs of your world is a petty endeavor. It's the idea again about looking into the feeling of yourself and refining yourself through the aspect of getting to know who you are, of self-correcting, self-aligning yourself. Follow the feeling. And in this way, we can amusingly say, the feeling is your white rabbit. Follow the white rabbit. Go down the rabbit hole and start to look and see what the rabbit hole is showing you as you go deeper into that little white rabbit, into that wonderful feeling. That is, again, helping you to self-correct. We thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much, Polly, for your question. Okay, I'm just going to take a moment here. I'm just going to read some more questions. Okay, so here's one from SynthDef. SynthDef asks, what can we expect in the financial, monetary arenas in the coming months and years? Will fiat currency become obsolete? What is cryptocurrency's role? Will there be a stock market crash? Now, I know some people are asking about this because in the 2019 Year of Disclosure video, Adronis didn't really cover that much on finances. Simply because, well, I'll let him explain. So what can we expect on the financial monetary arenas in the coming months and years altogether? Okay, here we go. Actually, take another glass of water. Okay. We thank you very much, SynthDef, for your question. And as we've just stated as well, too, is that when you're getting too heavily involved with the financial market, it's petty melodrama, right? So again, as we've stated, that when you're working together with your financial markets, you have to understand that the greatest aspect of that degree to which can be harmonized is seeing everything that you know is your value in alignment with yourself. And when you truly honor and appreciate the value, your exchange, your energy that you therefore transmit, that you manifest, you are therefore going to be in a much more secure place as it pertains to that aspect of financial abundance. So again, that's just a reminder that we want to share with all of you. As we have stated in the past, your fiat currency is still happening. There still is, in that sense, a lot of work that is being done behind the scenes to completely dissolve the aspect of the fiat currency. We would say that there is much more of a higher probability in regards to the fiat currency going through fluctuations, yes, this coming year, but again, moving more so into the idea of your early 2020s. As it relates to your cryptocurrency, this is still something that is very young. It's not something that has reached enough, shall we say, stature at this particular point to be an alternative that will replace much of your fiat currency. So your fiat currency, again, has still much of a dominion upon your planet. That is attempting to be reshaped. That is attempting to be reworked. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. So your fiat currency systems, in that sense, are looking to be substituted. Now, again, cryptocurrency can be a possibility, but it's not strong enough to do that just yet. What is basically, in that sense, being considered may be the idea of legal tender. And again, we're mostly just speaking about your US dollar here in that sense, altogether, really. But again, that is more so of a fluctuation, a shift that is taking place. As it would relate to the idea of your stock markets, there will be certain forms of improvements, so because your US president in that sense is all about business and all about attempting to improve those particular stock markets, simply by, in that sense, creating more locality within your United States of America to offer fine goods. So there may be a little bit more of a climb as it relates to the stock market this coming year in that way. But again, the fiat currency is still attempting to be dismantled, and it's still looking to be replaced. Again, most likely it will be through some type of legal tender. But what many of you may discover in that sense is you may not even be informed that something has actually changed. You actually have to go very, very deep and dig to understand that certain things are changing as it relates to the value of the dollar. Because that is what's going to happen at first. It is going to be somewhat secretive. It is going to be happening very quietly behind the scenes, that there are, again, certain changes with your fiat currency. As we've stated, much in regards to the power, as we would say, the illusionary power of your own finances and currencies are now more so Easternly controlled. It's not Westernly controlled anymore. So as it is Easternly controlled, there are again certain forms of reserve currencies that are taking place that are paying off a lot of other particular forms of debts. And again, the aspect of fiat currency is on the way out, but it will still take some time. There are a lot of people that need to get together on the table and come to agreements with this. There is also the idea that more continuous purging needs to take place. That those in that sense that are very much attempting to keep this old bloated empire together are basically being withdrawn from the picture altogether. This is why we say 2019, the year of disclosure, is where you see a lot of those pillars fall. You see the old regime collapse under its own weight. They need to be completely gone altogether before that type of currency can change. That's what's happening right now. Now, there are also plans within your years of 2019 and between 2019 and 2024 that there will be the introduction to universal basic income. So again, that may happen within the United States, not right away, but down the road. Again, this is happening in some of the European states as well. This is also looking to happen within Canada also, as it relates to the universal basic income. This again would be what you would know in a certain degree as a type of prosperity funding. It's not really a prosperity funding though. It is in that sense a particular form of basic income, not in that sense monumentous or prosperous in that particular way, but something that can support others. That is a beginning process of re-establishing the system as it relates to fiat currency. That again, it will still be somewhat fiat to that degree, but right now there are plans in effect to basically replace the fiat currency with some type of legal tender system, and over time that there will be much more of an opportunity for cryptocurrency to grow, but it's not strong enough yet to be a viable substitute for the aspect of fiat currency. The fiat currency empire is too large. Cryptocurrency is not big enough yet. Over time, yes, it may certainly be, but that is not the situation at this particular time. So this is what we can elaborate as it pertains to your financial situations. But as we stated, really none of this is important. None of this really matters. We answer the question for you because you ask, and we're happy to share. But really when you look at this, it's irrelevant. It's petty. It doesn't really matter. Start to work together with your own energies. Look into the power of your own will of exchange. And whatever fits in that envelope as it pertains to your own currencies of exchange will come back through you. It doesn't always have to be money. It can be exchanges of gifts. It can be meeting new friends. It can be through happiness. It can be through feeling exchange. It can be through time exchange. There's no limit. The whole idea is based upon how much you see yourself in your value. If your value is infinite and you're demonstrating that, you will have absolutely no problem receiving any particular type of abundance that you feel fits and suits that level of value through yourself. All right? Please consider that. Very important. We thank you. Okay. Good old direct Adronis, I love it. All right, so now we're going to, okay, we've already had a financial question, so we've already done that. Yogesh Rao asks a question for Adronis. What is the future potential for India? It's kind of a vague question, but India has already got lots of potential for it. But we'll see what Adronis shares with that in a moment. We thank you very much, Yogesh, for your question. What potential exists for India? India, in that sense, gives all forms of potentials, just as Brad stated. You have to understand that India itself represents a primary example about how cultures can live without any particular form of capitalism or any particular form of social structure that is basically feeling that they need to, shall we say, put themselves within a cube and say that this is how things need to go, that there needs to be some type of progress here, that there are people starving, that there's impoverishment, that there are people without homes, etc., etc. So what? If you actually start walking through India and you start looking at these people in that sense who do not have a roof over their head, who really don't even have money in their pockets, you're actually noticing that they actually have smiles on their faces. India, again, is one of the most spiritual epicenters on your entire planet. It would be more so appropriate that the spiritual essence that represents India flourish all across the entire planet. Because that is where India is cherished the most, is with its spiritual understandings, is with its spiritual essence. Many of your ancient masters have gone to India to learn more about how they can understand more of their own spiritual nature, how they can connect back into the infinite. That has come from India. So again, when you're saying what future potentials exist within India, it's not about future potentials. It's about the potentials that have already been there through India. It's not about the idea of trying to restructure this and basically bring progress to the idea of India to feel that that's what's going to make it better. Look at your own United States of America relating to the aspect of progress and to the idea of technology and to the idea of convenience. Has that brought happiness? No, it hasn't. It's brought about more restriction than anything else. India is the complete opposite to that. It is basically the idea that yes, there are people, many people, that do not have homes, that do not have money, that do not have shelter, that barely have any clothing as well too. But they could not be happier because they have connected with nature. They have connected with their spiritual selves. They have worked together with spiritual essence for thousands and thousands of years. So there has always been a potential for India. We would basically question and saying, why say it needs to be a future potential? India has always had potential. It is one of the most spiritually strong epicenters on your entire planet and has been for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It doesn't need any future potential because it already has that energy right there. It truly is what you would consider to be the crown chakra elevation of your planet, relating to spiritual insight, relating to spiritual understanding, relating to great forms of history, where again, men and women who have moved themselves into higher degrees of ascension, who have elevated their consciousness, who have taught this to many others. The culture of India is already very rich. There's much that India can teach the world. That in itself is already not just the potential, but the actuality of how when one truly wants to look deeper into themselves, India would be the place to go. Because there is much teaching about that. There is much understanding about that. There already exists that spiritual essence of India. And again, that is now starting to pass throughout the entire world. Being able to look at many of these migrations, these pilgrims, these gurus, these teachers, that again have flourished throughout India and are now starting to move more throughout the East and the West, teaching many of you about the ancient arts of true spiritual nature. Not just through the idea of Hinduism or Buddhism in that particular way, but understanding more of yourself and connecting with your heart. And we would say they are one of the most spiritually advanced cultures on your planet. So their potentials, their actuality has always been there. We thank you very much. Okay. Moving on. Okay, so I'm just going to read a couple more questions here. Okay. So I'm just going to go down the list a little bit more. There's still just some questions that have kind of been addressed already. Okay, here's an interesting one from Alice Jones. Question for Adronis. What advice can you give parents in general of college-age students to help them navigate their path on Earth as guardians? Okay, thank you. Let's see what Adronis shares. We thank you very much, Alice, for your question. As it relates to the idea of your college students and what they can do to further themselves, quote unquote, on Earth as guardians, well, again, they do not have to be the idea of what you would know as guardians, but they are being the idea in that sense of facilitators. So when you're looking at your common college students in that sense, they're hungry for knowledge. They want to expand themselves. They want to look into different forms of tasks. They want to look into trades. They want to look into skill sets. And in that sense, that is what they feel will help them throughout your planet. To a certain degree, these skill sets can happen. But what many of you are noticing right now is that many of your own college education centers are becoming much more expensive, to where students themselves are being indebted to paying off much of their college funds for many years to come. That is not true education. That's something for many of you to realize. Your education in that sense is not something that you should be indebted through many years trying to pay off over and over and over and over again. Secondly, it's important that you're looking at skill sets that really represent who you are, not just because you're doing something that looks interesting or something that might bring about a great amount of financial income. Those two are traps. Because again, you may get involved with a type of work that you may feel may pay very well, but you really don't like it. You really don't like having to get up in the morning and going to this type of work and doing this work and coming home. You feel like you're in a prison. So what we would really recommend, not just to college students, but to everybody who is basically looking to expand their own awareness of knowledge, this is the only teacher you need. So really, when you're starting to work with trades, with skills, let this guide you towards the appropriate path that fits you, that suits you. This goes back into our conversation. Decision over choice. So when you're looking at the aspect of choices, you are trying to make a choice through A, through B, through C, through D, through E, and saying, oh, well, statistically, logically, this must be the right path because it pays so well, it has a great amount of security within it, I think I'm going to go ahead and take this path. When your heart is saying, no, 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 no. Oh, be quiet, heart, I know what I'm doing, I'm going to go and I'm going to walk this path. So you make that path based upon ego choice. And that's what actually causes the setback. Because you're not listening to your heart. Your heart is telling you, you will not be happy with that type of work. You will be exhausted. You will not want to even go to that job after a certain amount of time. Get back here. And of course, you don't listen, and you go that particular path. So, this is not just, as we stated, for college students, but this is for all ages. This is for children, this is for teenagers, this is for adults, this is for seniors, etc. If you truly want to follow a path that you know is of yourself, the heart is the only one that can guide you upon that path by making decision, not choices. Choices, again, are all of those branches that are extending out, and it's like your ego is going eeny, meeny, miny, mo, statistically, this must be it, so I must walk down that particular path. So again, it is very, very important for all of you to understand, because all of you are facilitators of this planet. All of you can be quote-unquote guardians. It's not given to a certain age demographic. It's given to you all. You're a human being. As a human being, you're a steward of the earth, regardless of your age. Age doesn't matter. What matters, again, is you following your heart, walking down a path that you know, this is exciting to me, this feels right, this feels good, even though I know it spits in the face of everything traditionally speaking, and feels like it's going in a different direction from what my parents, or what my friends, or what my teachers may want me to walk down. I don't care, because this feels the best to me. This feels like home when I walk down this path. And now I'm going to follow this education. Now I'm going to gain this knowledge. It's not something that's going to cost me a fortune to pay off in the years ahead. It's not something where I feel it's just a flat-out craving of interest and it's going to fizzle out. It's something that's true to me. It's something that says, this is my heart talking. This is me walking this path and enjoying what I'm putting forward here, because that is who I am. I'm doing what I'm doing on this planet because it's who I am, and there should be no other reason. So whether that applies to college students, whether that applies to young children, whether that applies to adults, whether that applies to seniors, it doesn't matter. You're all affected by that understanding. To follow the heart and let the heart guide you. We thank you. Okay, very good. Apologize, guys, for my kind of squeaky chair here. All right, so going to go down here. Hello, Bob Perry. Thank you. Very nice to meet you as well, too. Much love, guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Let's see, just going down a little bit more. Okay, well, this one I don't think Adronis needs to come in through this one, but it is kind of a good one because Adronis has already kind of elaborated on this a little bit more in a previous question. But Bob Perry just quickly asks, can you give us pointers on how to meditate? Okay, so I'll just do what I can to share kind of a quick point before we move on. When you're looking into meditation, what's very, very important in that sense is what many people may share in common communities is saying that try and get your thoughts quiet, trying to get everything in silence and don't have any thoughts within your mind. That does not have to be the case. No, it's okay to think. It's okay to have thoughts within your mind, right? When you're going into meditation, let it be a place that you know is peaceful, is relaxing, is quiet, and you're just starting to take deep breaths, right? Just follow the in, follow the out, follow the in, follow the out, and just start to relax as you start to take these deep breaths in and deep breaths out. As thoughts come in, let them come in. Just say, I accept this thought. I accept it. I accept it. Yes, 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 right? I need to go and make dinner later. Okay, done. I need to go and take care of this. Yes, okay, done, right? You're not fighting your thoughts. That's the whole idea. You're not putting any particular type of resistance towards your feelings or your thoughts that come up. Just accept them as they come. The important thing is you're not attaching. You're not basically attaching to that tail of the thought and feeling yourself going off into the distance, right? When I first started, that was certainly happening to me. I was like, oh, these damn thoughts, I wish I could shut them up, right? Because I was resisting them. I was fighting them a lot, right? But as I was learning more about my practices, was being able to accept the thoughts as they come. Don't fight them. Don't resist them. Don't try and beat them up, right? Don't try and escape from them. Just let them come in and just accept them as they need to. As you do this more and more and more, you'll notice that your mind will naturally become quite clement, right? You'll feel that state of peace. You'll feel that state of relaxation within your mind because you're just allowing the thoughts to come together. You just have to see it as a river. You're a rock in the middle of the river, and this river represents your thoughts. It represents your feelings, and it's just streaming through you. It's when you basically put up your hand, right? You're now blocking part of that water. Now you're putting up another hand, and now you're putting up this dam, right? And now you're blocking that flow because you're attaching to the drama of the thought. You're attaching to the drama of the emotion, right? So let that go. Continue to be this rock in the river and let that water of thoughts, of feelings, of emotions flow through you and just accept them as they come, not attempting to block their path, okay? You do this very, very simply. Do it more and more as you meditate quite often. You'll notice that you'll have a greater form of a meditation experience, okay? Very simple for everybody to take a look at, all right? Thank you very much. Okay, scroll down a little bit more here. Okay, here's one from Jan. Jan asks, how hard is this new energy going to be on aging bodies? Is there an easy way to get through it? Okay, good question. Thank you, Jan. One moment as I bring Adronis through. We thank you very much, Jan, for the opportunity of your interaction today and for your question. We will state that again, through aging bodies, this new energy that's coming in is actually helping to heal those bodies. They're not attempting to make it worse. Again, the whole idea is your resistance to things that have actually allowed your body to age. When there is a neglecting, when there is a resisting to your own body in being able to improve its own health, its own vitality, its own energy itself, that's what's causing these kinks. That's what's causing these knots. That's what's causing aging. Aging is an effect of resistance. Did you know that? And we would say that to all of you. Those of you in that sense who are completely in the state of accepting this energy, of being conscientious of your bodies, of working with yourself, of transmuting energies within your body that need further assistance, such as viruses, such as illnesses, etc., and transmuting them back into light, into coherent, healthy frequencies, you won't age. Which means that you could be 90 years old and you have the liver of a 25-year-old. You have the lungs of a 23-year-old. You have the metabolism of a 21-year-old. That's how this can work. In fact, many of your ancient Taoists, many of your ancient Indian gurus in that sense have also been able to demonstrate this, is that they have been able to completely, shall we say, preserve much of their own body by being conscientious of what they put into their body, by being conscientious of the energy they intake, by being conscientious of their environment. When you're doing this, you don't age. So age is a sickness. It becomes an illness. It's something that is a resistance. You truly have the ability to live many later years without even appearing the idea of, shall we say, great age. This again is what you're noticing, is you're noticing these people that are 50, 60, 70, 80, they look great. They feel like they're much younger. They feel like they're half their age. It's because they are listening to their bodies. They're listening to what is being put together within their bodies altogether. It does not matter about your physical age. If you're, say, for example, 60 years old, and you're just starting to understand much of the nature of working together with your energy, you're working with your meridians, you're working with your chakra centers, you're working with your dantians, you're eating healthy, but you're being conscientious of your body, and that's the most important thing. It's not even so much about what you feel that you need to eat as it relates to a particular diet. Just listen to your body. That's it. Listen to your body, because your body is pretty much almost always going to say, have some green vegetables, eat fruit. You're human. As you're a human, you're naturally a vegetarian. That's the nature of it. We understand there may be different viewpoints in that particular way, but that's how humans are designed. You were designed to be vegetarians. You only started to cook meat because of the idea of, shall we say, stories, upbringing, programming in that particular way that suggests that you do it for certain forms of nutrients. But we would basically say that you really don't need any nutrients in meat at all. And again, we're going to be a little bit bold with that and share that with all of you. Everything that you require is within your plant and vegetable kingdoms. It doesn't need to be found in meat at all. Period. Not at all. That is more so a belief. Now, we're not discriminating anybody who decides to eat meat. That is simply your own choice. That is your own decision. But when you start to listen to your body, you will notice that you will be guided towards much more of the plant kingdom, much of the fruit kingdom in that way. Eating these essential forms of plants and vegetables, these particular forms of fruits, and again, other forms of, shall we say, lighter consciousness foods. Now, basically, when you're starting to work with your body, you're talking to your organs. You're communicating with them. You're talking to your heart. You're working with your heart. You're sending love to your heart, which means you're creating a relationship with your organs. You're creating a relationship with your nervous system. You're creating a relationship with your immune system. You're creating a relationship with your skin, with your bones, with every single part of your body. As you do this more and more, it now becomes symbiotic with you. And now you will be able to go through a grocery store and you will instantly know what to take for your body for it to get the most nutrition. You will be able to sit down and meditate or just go for a walk in nature, and you will know how to absorb the living energy around you, which increases your vitality, improves your skin, improves the nutrients within your body. You will also, in that sense, feel a connection to go outside when it is sunny and absorb the sun's rays. Not concerning about pollutants. Because again, when you're conscientious about your body, you are aware of what's actually coming in your body that is, again, chaotic, or may feel, again, like a pollutant. And you will know how to transmute that out. So this is what we recommend, again, for all ages. Not just for the seniors, not just for the college students, not just for the adults, but for everybody. You can teach your children this as well, too. Is tell them, be happy with your heart right now. See a big smiley face on your heart right now. Make it really, really happy. Children will do this very easily, and they will feel a happy heart. Tell them to do the same thing with their lungs, with their liver, with their kidneys, with their spleen, with their intestines, with their digestive system, with their immune system, with their bones, with their skin, etc. Everything. And you do it with them. So again, this works together with everybody. Once you become symbiotic with your body, you basically move into a heightened state of vitality. You move into a heightened state of awareness. This is where you're moving more so into that true, shall we say, light body. Because your light body is now being active because you're being symbiotically coherent with your own body, with your own environment, with the energies that you work with. When you do this, regardless of your age, you'll notice great improvements. You'll notice your body will now function as your temple. It will become your light body. It will become that immortal body that is currently encased in flesh. And when the time comes for you to leave, you leave with that immortal body. This is the nature, again, regardless of age, when you start following this appropriately, that you will notice incredible vitality through your body, where you may feel half your age, or even a quarter of your age in that particular way, all depending in regards to how you're treating yourself symbiotically in harmony with your body, with your environment, with your reality body. All right? We thank you for your question. That's great. I'm just starting to do that as well too, to work a little bit more with the organs and all that stuff, but I admit I've been a little bit behind on that as well too. So that too is a reminder for myself. Get a little bit more deeply symbiotically connected with the body as well. So again, thank you, Jen, for a great question. Hello, beings of light. Much love, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, just going to go down here a bit more. Okay, here's one from, apologize if I'm not able to pronounce your name properly, Ui Lu. They ask, how do soulmates attract or find each other? Could soulmates could seem as opposites along the same polarity? Do they create a contract to be with each other during an incarnation? Okay, and I want to address this, Ui, as well too, because it is quite common. The common questions I get in sessions as well too is about soulmates. So we'll definitely look into this one. So one moment as I bring Adronis back in. We thank you very much once again for your question. Now, as it relates to soulmates, twin flames, kindred spirits, etc., these are labels. These are terms that you have applied into these ideas because each of them means something different. So there really is no, shall we say, direct translation to what many of you can agree upon that would represent a soulmate or a twin flame or a kindred spirit or an other half, etc. Really, when you're working together with a soulmate, and in that sense we'll simply use that term, you're working with someone who you have rapport with. Someone who has perhaps shared quite a few lifetimes here on this planet with you, or again, celestially, cosmically, angelically speaking as well too. It is something of a great familiarity. And really what's happening is that your memory is starting to recall your experiences with this person because that person is being an intimate mirror with yourself. So in that sense, there are people, yes, that may discover that their soulmates are their own parents, or their siblings, or their best friend. It does not have to be a romantic relationship. Sometimes it can, but again, really all you're looking at is an intimate mirror. Someone who is familiar to you. Someone who you feel a great resonance with. And again, some of you may see, well, this person feels like the other half of my soul. And in some cases, that can be the case. You may meet somebody on your planet who is indeed the same soul as yourself, just with a different polarized construct. So again, there may be a very feminine soul that you connect with, and you are a very masculine soul to their counterpart. And again, you have familiarity, you have rapport. That's all that's happening here. It does not mean that this is going to be a fairy tale, wonderful sensation story because you meet a soulmate in that way, or a twin flame, or a kindred spirit, or your other half, etc. It's not meant to be that way. It's the idea that you're simply looking into the idea of a rapport. You're looking into a very deep mirror of yourself. How you respond to that mirror depends upon the length of the relationship itself, the essence of the relationship itself, we will say. Because again, if you're feeling this really great connection with a person and you feel you know them inside and out, You feel that there is so much relationship and so much history pertaining to yourself as it pertains to memory. This, in some particular aspects, can scare people, and they may actually decide to run away because they're not in that alignment to truly receiving the intimate mirror reflection that this other self brings. So again, it does not mean that it's going to be a quote-unquote infinite match made in heaven. It's somebody who you have experienced. It really is, in that sense, just a higher degree of family in the higher planes of consciousness that has incarnated together in this body, and you have had relationships with that particular form of aspect of yourself, and now you're bonding. Now you're fusing yourselves together. So it can be something that can last this lifetime or lifetimes as well. Or sometimes it may be something that's very, very short. The whole idea is that we cannot explain this generically to all of you. Because when you meet another person who you feel a very deep rapport with, it's all based upon your causes and conditions to determine that relationship. And of course, their causes and conditions to continue the relationship as well. It does not mean that as soon as you meet a soulmate, that's it. We're stuck together. We're done. We're going to live happy for the rest of our lives. It doesn't always go that way. It's all based upon the causes and conditions. We would ask all of you this question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first, the chicken or the egg? So, when you're looking at that question, it's no more different in saying that when I meet my soulmate and that soulmate meets me, are we going to be together? Are we going to be apart? That therefore becomes a paradox. So just like the chicken and the egg, the answer is the chicken and the egg. It is the idea that order doesn't matter. It is the idea here in this nature that the aspect of how you attempt to term your relationship doesn't matter. You are present. You are one. The chicken and the egg are present. They are one. Look at it in that particular way through paradox. So again, we cannot tell you that as soon as you meet your twin flame, as soon as you meet your soulmate, sparks are going to fly and you're infinitely going to be together for the rest of your lives. No, we can't tell you that. Because again, it depends upon the causes and conditions. It depends upon the circumstances that you apply through the two of you to become one. So as we've stated, yes, there are beings upon this planet that are what you would consider to be another soul that is combined in alignment with your own soul, basically being one soul, yes. But again, if you are not in the alignment to truly bond in harmony with that other, and vice versa to that other as well too, then this basically still creates some type of segregation. Well, Adronis, what happens if I do meet somebody, and I do feel that they are indeed the same soul as myself, and they're feeling it as well too? What can we do to strengthen that relationship? Connect through the heart. Stop thinking about this, blah, 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 blah. Stop thinking so much about physical reality. Come together and connect to the heart. Feel yourselves as one heartbeat. Feel yourselves as one body. Feel yourselves as one mind. Feel yourself as one soul. Feel yourself as one spirit. That's the idea, is to really connect and create this oneness symbiosis together with yourself. And that starts here. How do you make decisions, dear humans? Listen to your heart. Well, same thing applies here. Work with each other's heart. Feel each other. Feel what it is to be her. Feel what it is to be him. Feel that connection together. Harmonize, even if that, again, is not a romantic relationship, even if it's with your parents, even if it's with a best friend, even if it's with a sibling, whoever it may be. Bond with them because you feel that strong connection altogether. It does not have to be a romantic relationship. It is simply the idea that an intimate relationship is showing you someone who is familiar, someone who has rapport with you. That is the understanding. All right? Thank you. Okay, great. So thank you very much, Uli, for your question. Okay, let me just go down the list here a bit. Okay, so here's a comment from Harmony222. Stick with your own ascension, no matter what or who. The twin flame is not about them. Release codependency. Stick with your own ascension. Love unconditionally. Yes, absolutely. But the whole idea is, again, you're just going with your heart, because this is a big topic, and I know there's going to be some replies to it on the chat. When you have, again, that particular person, just like what Adronis was saying, with the idea of soulmates, and you're feeling a very strong heart-to-heart connection with them, the whole idea is that when you're bonding in that way and you're feeling that connection with that other, yes, you're going into the heart, right? The whole idea is that codependency becomes eliminated, right? Because you feel each other. You're one being, right? And that's where you get past the idea of a codependency, because codependency really comes more so in the physical realms, right? It's the idea of being in a very dense reality, and we're feeling segregated, we're feeling separated, and we feel like we're two different people. But when two people who are, again, the same soul truly come together and are able to work together, and sometimes they may need a little bit of time, right? They may need to do a little bit of healing work here. They need to be a little bit doing a little bit of work with themselves. Certainly my case in many ways. Then they will come together again, and they will bond, and they will harmonize, and they will simply be one, right? You will feel their thoughts. They will feel yours as well, too. And this becomes, in that sense, a gathering of true oneness, of interconnectedness in that way. You already know, in that sense, that connection with your significant other, right? You don't have to concern, you don't have to panic, you don't have to get upset or anything of that nature, because you know them, right? You're bonded together with them. You feel what they feel what you feel. So it's like looking at one being in that way, right? Have I had a relationship like that? Absolutely, I do. I already have my one soul partner that's here, right? And I've been with her for a while. And so we are also just going through different forms of healing energies as well too, because we know that there's work to do. She has stuff that she's working on. I have stuff I'm working on as well too. But then we always just come back together, right? And we've known each other now for over 7 years. So that is something that I can relate to about being able to feel one soul together with another, right? So that's very true. But again, that doesn't mean that it's going to be a match made in heaven, right? It doesn't mean it's going to be this way for all of eternity. But you're feeling that connection with your significant other. You're feeling that connection with the other that is the one soul. And you're bonding and harmonizing together. And you're feeling that symbiotic relationship. And yeah, there really is no codependency anymore. Because to create a codependency is feeling, again, that you need to rely upon the other. You really don't know what they're thinking. You really don't know what they're like. You really don't know if they're, deceiving you, or if they're going to go off and cheat on you, or whatever it may be, right? There's none of that when you have that true soul bond with another, right? It's just you feel them and they feel you. And from someone who has personally experienced it, it's more beautiful than you can imagine. So that's what I'm going to share with that. Okay, so moving on. Let me go down here. Oops. Yeah. Sorry, I just had a bit of a snag here. Let me go back up. Okay. Kind of a funny one here from Paderi. So Syrians tend to learn earth sayings, huh? Well, the whole idea is that, firstly, Adronis isn't speaking English, right? He doesn't speak English. He doesn't speak our language at all. When he's coming through, it's a transmission, right? So there's a transmission that's opening up, and I'm being the translation device. Now, Adronis does have a sense of humor. He certainly does. He can be a very, very fun being as well, too. He can crack jokes as well, too. But he doesn't speak our language, right? So the humor that may come through me at times is my own comprehension of something that he is feeling to share with many of you, right? So it's basically, in that sense, my words that are being utilized in regards to his thoughts, his feelings that are coming through and sharing that. So technically speaking, he doesn't speak English. But in that particular way, there certainly is a humor there as well, too, of course. Yeah, Adronis has actually, again, shared impulses, you could say, that have brought about earth sayings quite a bit. He is quite familiar with our race. Like I said, he can go back in time, he can go forward in time, he can go through our continuity of timelines in that sense. There's a lot of things that he can do that we can't even really explain. He's seen a lot of the ancient past. He's seen a lot about how humanity got started. He's seen the beginnings of the earth. He knows very well much of the mentality and the energy and behavior of humans. That's, again, what makes him such a great guide to come together in this way. So, good question, Pradera, indeed. Okay. So just going down the list here, I'm just kind of making sure that we're kind of covering questions we haven't really covered just yet. Okay. Mila, a pregnant chicken. Oh, the chicken or the egg, huh? A pregnant chicken. Oh, what if that egg's already there, though? Then they're not pregnant, right? We're not talking about someone who's pregnant, a being that's pregnant. We're looking at the chicken and the egg, right? They're both valid based upon the causes and circumstances. I know you're cracking a joke, which is great. Funny, by the way. And then, so again, we're looking at the idea that both of those realities exist. They're not existing in the state of order. They do not have to, right? So that's the idea of the paradox. Okay, we've already talked about Bitcoin in that. Yeah, I'm not really going to do questions that are opinionated in that way. There's a question about what does Adronis think of the channel Gaia on Corey Good and Emery Smith. I'm not going to go there, guys, right? I'm just not going to go there. I'm not going into opinions of other people because it's not important, right? It's not important at all, because what matters is that how you feel in regards to the information that's coming about, right? Not everybody here may vibrate and align and resonate to what I'm sharing, and that's okay, right? I'm not here to convince any of you that what's happening with Adronis is real, that this is Adronis that's coming through. I can't convince anybody of that, right? To myself, is he real? Yes. To myself, is this Adronis coming through? Yes. But I can't convince anybody of that, right? And it's not about the messenger, as Adronis has said many times. It's about the message, right? So when people have asked me, well, what do you think of this person? What do you think of that person? Right? There have been times where I've given my own personal opinion on certain ways, but when Adronis comes through, it's not about him giving those opinions and saying, don't listen to this person, or this person's full of crap, or anything of that nature, right? It really comes down to the point of you got to make up your own darn minds, right? You got to look into these things and you got to feel it for yourself, because one particular person's perspective on another is going to differ from another person's, right? So you want to make sure that you are honoring your own discernment in regards to what is being shared here, because all I'm doing is sharing, right? I'm not saying, guys, this is the gospel. This is 100% of what you have to take in. Again, as Adronis has said in the very beginning, everything that's being shared here is from his perspective, his point of view. For all knowledge, all information, all creation is within your very heart, beings, and souls. Take that literally, right? That is a disclaimer relating to all of this information. And Adronis has come through and has shared that for almost 10 years, right, with that particular disclaimer. All right. So before we continue, we're just kind of going into a bit of a halftime break here. Again, you guys can go into newearthteachings.com. You can go into sessions, grab your session, whatever session you like, and then you'll appear at the shopping cart page here, and you can click on enter a promo code, and in all capital letters type in OpenForum20, okay, OpenForum20, and you'll receive 20% off any sessions on newearthteachings.com. And again, the offer is available until Monday, October 15th. So before 11:59 p.m. On Monday, this 20% offer is available, okay? And again, 2 new shows are coming onto the YouTube channel: Empathic Interfacing, live interactive transmissions. Again, the first episode is going to happen on October 22nd, and it's going to be a weekly reoccurrence from that point forward. Then, of course, Light Circuitry Weekly, where I'll be developing specific light circuits for people. And again, they will be freely accessed, freely downloadable through each of the weekly episodes that will come. And again, that will be happening in November sometime. No exact date for that just right yet, but it should be, I'm imagining, probably around the early part of November. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and continue with a few more questions. We're getting up on time here, so I'm probably thinking maybe about 3 more questions we'll get. It's been some really amazing questions today, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm really impressed with the great intelligence of these questions. Okay. So again, guys, I'm just being a little discerning with certain questions. I just want to kind of look at questions that can really affect a lot, that can really help a lot more people and not just a few. So this is where I challenge you guys. Try and create questions that will really help a lot of people, not just small groups or few people, right? Okay, here's a good one based on that. From Earthly Experience. Is enlightenment the ultimate goal for all universal beings? If so, what is the direct path to do this? Great question, Earthly Experience. Thank you. All right, let me bring Adronis in, and he can share some insight on The ultimate goal for all universal beings is enlightenment. Okay? We thank you very much, Earthly Experience, for your question. Here's the insight in that way. There is no ultimate goal because you already are that which you are in an absolute way. All you're really doing right now is you have put more shells upon yourself. Here's more of the unnatural way. Coming into densities of physical domains such as Earth and putting all of these extra layers upon yourself and saying, I'm separate, I'm insecure, I'm unworthy, I have no value, I despise people, I feel I can't contribute to anything. And all of these layers are being put upon yourself. So, the unnatural thing is having all those layers upon yourself. So, what do you do to become yourself again? Take off the layers. That's all you're doing. That's it. You already are a perfect being of creation. You already are a god of your universe, a god of your reality. You're already this. So basically, in that sense, we would say, why have you come down here? And why have you adopted putting all of these layers upon yourself, thinking that you're, again, just a limited being? Because that's not a natural path. When you're following an enlightened path, you're lightening yourself up. You're taking off all of these layers, all of these extra garments. It's like looking at a person that has gone inside one of your hot saunas and they are wearing about 50 articles of clothing on top of each other and saying, oh yeah, I'm quite comfortable here. And they're sweating and they're about to pass out. That's basically what you're doing on this planet. And again, you've put all these extra layers upon yourself and feeling that this is going to make me feel more secure. No, it's not. It's going to make you pass out. It's going to make you fall and collapse to the ground under your own weight as your knees buckle from all the weight of the layers that you put upon yourself. So again, one of these really heavy layers, in fact the totality of these heavy layers, would represent that of the ego. The ego, in its own overinflated way, is the greatest virus that exists on your planet. That's it. It's greater than cancer. It's greater than the Black Plague. It's greater than any particular type of illness. An overinflated ego is the greatest virus on your planet. So, when you start to work to deflate the ego, you start to take off these extra layers of clothing, these extra garments, you're feeling lighter. So, what happens when you feel lighter, earthly experience? You become your natural being again. That's it. You are already an illuminated, loving, perfect being of creation. You always have been. That's who you are. When you're following enlightenment, that again is a catchphrase, becomes a term. Adronis, how can I become more enlightened? By letting go of this personality that you've adopted by putting so many of these garments upon yourself that are becoming so heavy that you collapse under your own weight. That's the idea. You're wearing unnecessary garments. You're putting on all of these layers because you've identified yourself as a physical being, where you feel that you have to survive, where you feel that you are powerless, where you feel that you cannot manifest that which is your heart's true intent. That's why you feel stuck. That's why you feel limited. That's why you feel like you're suffocating with all of these extra layers that you've put upon yourself, because you constantly justify that you need to have them in some shape, way, or form because you're afraid to die. That's why. So really, when you're looking into the aspect of enlightenment, you're allowing the identity program to die. You're allowing yourself to strip off all of these layers and saying, I am bare. I am naked with the illumination of my true being. That's it. That's who you are. Because who you are really can't be defined. It cannot be shared. It cannot be vocalized in this way. This, by the way, is a very poor means of communication. When you're constantly using words, you don't get it. When you're constantly using words to try and define things and describe things, you do not get what it is to truly be your natural self. It doesn't come through this. It doesn't come through this body. It comes through your essence. Because again, if you were to basically be in front of an ancient master, sitting on a rock, meditating, feeling deeply rooted to the earth, so rooted that you couldn't actually pull his body off the rock, even if you had 1,000 people lined up trying to do it. And you ask him, wise master, what is truth? He turns around to you. And he does this for a great deal of time. That is truth. That which cannot be spoken. Going back to again another saying. He who knows doesn't say. He who says doesn't know. So, even though all these words are coming together, this is all just distortion. This does not bring about any purity of truth whatsoever, because it is word philosophy. And again, words are certainly powerful because they're spells. That's the whole idea. They set the programming language of intention. They set the programming language of an energetic behind themselves, and become this energetic, shall we say, sphere that is programmed through the archetype of this language. But again, when you're working together with words, even in this particular type of transmission, all we're giving you is distortion, because you cannot explain the infinite through this. You cannot explain truth through this. You cannot explain enlightenment through this. Even when we're sharing, connect with your heart, work with yourself, take off the layers, become bare. That too is a distortion. That too becomes a word philosophy. Because it's about you actually feeling it. It's about you actually becoming it, for you to understand. Do you think that if it was actually so easy to explain enlightenment through words, don't you think almost everybody on your planet would be doing it? No. It is one of the most challenging things because it can't be described. It's like trying to explain a color to a blind man, or even to all of you. We cannot give you a description about what red looks like, other than showing you the color red. And that's what you have to show to yourself. Show yourself what enlightenment looks like to you, based upon what you understand the heart is trying to tell you about it. That's the nature of enlightenment, is when you realize, is when you feel it, is when you're walking your path. Nobody can tell you what it's like. It's intangible. There's no such thing as a tangible enlightenment. It's never happened. It's never happened on your Earth. It's never happened on any other planet. There is no such thing as a tangible enlightenment, because there's nothing tangible about you. This is all part of canvases that you're wearing. Different degrees of photons bouncing around, where you're not actually making contact with any objects whatsoever, when in fact you've never seen an object outside of yourself ever. You've never seen another person outside of yourself ever. You've never seen an environment outside of yourself ever. That's who you are. This is all your own construct. This is all your own mirrors. your own holograms that you're playing with, to telling yourself, here's me coming into enlightenment. Here's me stripping off the layers. Here's me completely flattening the virus of ego so that it integrates together with me, so that it has now become one with me. That's the idea. But only you can bring yourself there through your own understanding of what enlightenment is. All right? Thank you. Okay, very good, very powerful, great. Thank you again very much, Earthy Experience, for your question. Great question, by the way. Okay, so we're going to probably take about 1 or 2 more questions here, guys. I'm going to kind of go down to the bottom of the chat here and just see what there is. Huggy Sunrise says, outside, that'd be weird. Yeah, we've never experienced an outside. We've created an illusion of thinking that there is an outside, but there isn't. This is all, again, just a mind sphere, right? Everything that we can conceive of, everything that we can express, everything that we think, everything that we say, all products of mind, right? The big, gigantic hologram is a mind hologram, right? You've never experienced an outside. Never even experienced another person. Never experienced your wife, your husband, your father, your mother, etc. All holograms, all aspects of yourself, where beings in their own universes are projecting themselves into this reality, just as you're doing, to have this shared experience. But you're all experiencing slices of each other, right? Because everybody that you meet, really, when you combine them back into one, that becomes you as a whole being, right? You've never experienced another whole being outside of yourself. You're all that is relating to that whole being, right? Something to really meditate on. Okay. Okay, so again, we just want to make sure that there's not really any personal questions here, guys. So I'm just going to look around for the last question, because we're almost out of time here. Okay. Scrolling up the list. I know there's a lot of people that have questions as well, guys, but like I said, I'm just looking for the best question that, again, I feel will help a lot of people, rather than, again, helping one or a few. Okay, so we're just getting a lot of comments here. There is no death. That is a 3D concept. You are an eternal being with eternal beginnings. Not even beginnings, man. Nothing. No eternal beginning, no eternal end. Basically, when you're putting beginning into an eternal, that becomes a contradiction, right? There's this, right? We have cycles, but even cycles themselves are only initiated through the label of beginning and end, right? We create that idea. There isn't. You know, it's being able to transcend labels altogether and not saying that there is an eternal beginning or an eternal end. That doesn't make sense, right? When you're eternity, you move past all those cycles. You transcend them altogether. You become the true watcher. You become the true absolute in that way. You go beyond physical reality. You enter truth, right? Again, that which really cannot be defined by words, in the form of a distorted principle, unchanging, endless void, which represents the absolute, right? And again, distortion. But again, really, when we're looking at ourselves, beyond space, beyond time, beyond matter, beyond dimension, beyond labels, beyond expressions, beyond experiences, all of it, right? The infinite, in that sense, represents that of impermanent change, impermanent form. Everything that exists within the infinite needs to be impermanent, right? That's how the infinite works, right? So when you're looking at all these different parallel realities, when you're looking at all these different constructs, etc., you're still looking at form, right? Infinite is a property of the mind. It's not actually a property of the spirit. There's infinite and then there's absolute, right? So when you're working at the infinite, you're looking at all the infinite possibilities, the infinite conjurings, the infinite expressions and experiences of the mind that is impermanent, right? Because they're susceptible to change. When you're looking into the absolute that goes beyond the infinite, you're looking again at void. You're looking at unchanging, endless truth. And that is permanence, right? Because there's no change within that. Everything is empty. Everything is complete and total void, right? And that's your nature. That's looking at yourself in that way. But again, even with this sharing, is to distortion. Okay, just going down the list here a bit more. Okay, and there's a question here, or not really a question, but a statement. You have the free will to experience. Be careful with free will, guys, right? Free will is the aspect of illusion. It is the aspect of confusion, right? If you're basically having the free will to experience yourself, you're not following the heart, right? You're following the mind. The mind says, well, here's this choice. I'm going to start walking down a free will path in this way. Free will is confusion. It is a law of confusion, right? It's about transcending that idea of free will, right? And coming into natural will, right? Coming into your heart's will, coming into decision-based will, not choice-based will. Whenever you're following choice, you're following free will. Whenever you're following free will, you're experiencing that aspect of illusion. You're experiencing confusion in that way. Do not worry about free will. Move past it, right? It's an illusionary boundary. Once you get past that, you come into natural will. You come into just living through decision rather than feeling you have to live through choice. Okay. Again, I've talked about this in one of my videos about making decisions over choice. Adronis has shared that information. Okay. So we're going to end this on this final question. How does one get rid of fear, feeling stuck in life, not knowing what my direction should be in life? Okay, so this will be the final question for this interaction, and I'll bring Adronis in for this. Here we go. We thank you very much for being human for your question. The whole idea is that while you're feeling stuck is because you feel you need to get rid of your fear, and that's why you're stuck. Fear is not meant to be getting rid of. Anytime you're trying to get rid of something, you feel it's an impairment within yourself, and you feel in that sense that if you just throw it away, then that's it. No. You have to understand that everything is ebb and flow. Everything are cycles. Everything balances itself. If all you're feeling within your mind is fear and confusion, and you're feeling overwhelmed by this, and all you're trying to do is roll it up into a ball and chuck it away, it's going to come right back to you because you haven't told that energy to become anything else. You haven't transmuted it. You haven't turned it into something that represents something in your favor, something that complements you, something that works together with you. Energy can't be destroyed. It cannot be escaped from. It cannot be chucked away. It's going to come back at you like a boomerang. So whenever you're feeling overwhelmed by fear and by confusion and any other particular form of heavy emotional state, as long as you give in to those particular forms of emotional states, you're going to be battling them. They're going to continue to face off with you because they're just going to say, you can throw me around all you want, I'm going to come right back. You can try to get rid of me, I'm going to come right back. No. I'm going to substitute and transmute that energy of heavy emotion into something much lighter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working with love. I'm going to start working with compassion. I'm going to start complimenting myself on a daily basis. I'm going to get on my own side here. I'm going to start complimenting myself about what I'm doing on a daily basis that is helping me to bring about rich feelings of prosperity, of grace, of joy, of love, of compassion forward. If I don't do that, then I stay with what I've created and what I've programmed through the mind spell as it relates to these emotions that I'm fighting. So I change it around. I compliment myself. I get up in the morning. I'm thankful for another day of life. I go into the washroom. I'm able to brush my teeth. I have the intelligence to do that. That again brings about a compliment. I have the intelligence and I have the resource of being able to bathe my body, shower my body, and feel clean and feel refreshed. I'm thankful for that. I'm going downstairs. I'm making myself a beautiful meal that I know my body will appreciate. I'm thankful for that. I go for a walk. I enjoy the neighborhood. I say hello to people. They say hello back to me. It's a wonderful feeling. I feel grateful for that. All of this now starts to escalate into love levels. You're moving yourself up into a higher frequency. Your love energy is becoming much stronger than your fear energy. So now what's happening is, because you have all this love that is equal to or greater than that fear, you're putting that energy into the aspect of your fear, which means you're doing a substitution. You're releasing that fearful energy. You're shrinking it down because the love is washing it clean. And all of that energy that was once put together into fear has now joined and bonded with love. And now, love is within you. It has been substituted. This, again, is what you refer to as equivalent exchange. In order for you to look at something that you know you do not want, you are bringing something forward to replace it. That's the nature of this equivalence. And so that is how energy is being reprogrammed. You are already a 100% vessel, filled with this 100% energy. If 75% of that energy within yourself is contaminated with fear, then what you basically need to do is uplift all of this love energy that you feel around you that can now come in and basically transmute all of that fear, and now that 75% fear is now being replaced by 75% love. That's what you're doing. You're a container. You can only hold so much. So if there's no room for love to come in, it's because you're still giving so much value to your fear. You're validating that. So you're allowing love to wash that fear clean and saying, now that fear is gone. Now there's this 75% or 100% space here, and now I'm bringing in that love energy. And that love energy is filling my body. And now I feel completely refined. In order for you to obtain something, something of equal value must be given in return. That's equivalence. That is the nature of your reality. If all that you feel within your reality is despair and chaos and fear, where do you make room for love? You don't. Because you're completely contaminated through the idea of feeling that everything needs to be fearful. Everything needs to be in despair. I need to be upset about everything. You give no opportunity whatsoever for love to come in at all. And that's why you're in crisis. That's why you're in despair. You have not given yourself any permission whatsoever for love to come in just even a little bit. So this is reversible. This is where you're taking your energy and you're washing it clean. And now you're allowing space to come together with you, just like looking at scales here. And now that scale in that sense will become 100% because you've transmuted that fear. And now that love is becoming part of your reality, and all you'll experience is that love because you've gotten behind it. That's the nature. That's how you're able to turn all of this around. Transmute your energies. Don't get rid of them because they'll just come back around like a boomerang. All right? Something very important for all of you to truly consider. We thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius. We will now conclude and return to the conduit. We will speak to you again, as now is forever, all is one, and love is essence. Goodbye for now. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, for a really great presentation today from all of you, for great questions. I really appreciate it. So again, stay tuned, October 22nd, where we're going to have the very first empathic transmissions, empathic interfacing transmissions live. Again, that will be happening on October 22nd at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, so feel free to tune into that. And again, thank you all for really great questions today. I'm sorry if I wasn't able to get around to anybody. But again, remember that you can go to newearthteachings.com, take advantage of this promo code of the discount that's available, right? OpenForum 20% off any session, of course, on New Earth Teachings. And again, available until Monday, October 15th. So again, there's quite a few personal questions on there. This is where I'd say please go to the sessions here, and we can certainly look into that a lot more. So again, thank you again, everybody, for a wonderful interaction with all of you today. I really appreciate it. And I'll speak to you again in another perspective of the now. Take care, you all. Namaste.